Guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with the kill count. Tonight we're here with a 2021 film called The Black Phone. It was, I think, originally based on a short story, but it actually has Ethan Hawke as the bad guy, if I remember correctly. So I think you might see some Stephen King influences here. I don't know where, but let's just take a look back and see who managed to survive the Black Phone incident. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at The Black Phone, which premiered at Fantastic Fest in 2021. The Black Phone takes place in the 70s and follows a teenager abducted by a local serial killer. The kid is locked up in a room with an old phone, which he uses to communicate with his captor's previous victims. It's a serial killer crime flick with some supernatural touches that highlights the resiliency of youths. The movie is based on the short story of the same name written by Joe Hill. His stories have been adapted for the screen before, perhaps most notably with In the Tall Grass. Hill is the son of legendary novelist Stephen King, and it shows. This adaptation is so full of classic King tropes, you'd be forgiven if you thought it took place in Maine. The Black Phone was written by Scott Derrickson, with a screenplay co-written by Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. These are the guys who brought us the modern classic Sinister, as well as the first Doctor Strange movie. Derrickson was originally supposed to direct In the Multiverse of Madness too, but he left the project due to creative differences. Most likely, he wanted to make it more of a horror film. The good news is that when he left that movie, he and Cargill turned around and made this one. The Black Phone is one of many amazing horror movies that had a wide release in 2022. While it didn't quite electrify me as much as some of the others, I think it's really well made with phenomenal performances, specifically from the two lead kids and Ethan Hawke in a rare villainous turn as the grabber. It also manages to have an optimism to it, despite the dark subject matter. Ethan Hawke called it a scary movie with a heart of gold. For anyone who finds comfort in Stephen King stories with their small towns and magical realism, The Black Phone will surely deliver, with a couple of good scares along the way. How many kills will the grabber... what?
Connected to anything?
Hello?
Yellow.
Oh, sweetie, I'm so glad I caught you.
Mom, how'd you get this number?
Oh, don't you worry about that at all. I was just putting together my Christmas list, and I was wondering if there was anything you think would be good for me this year.
Oh yeah, that's easy. Today's sponsor, Raycon.
Oh, that earbud company you're always talking about.
Oh, Mom, it is not just earbuds, okay? They have wireless earbuds, headphones, and speakers that offer premium sound, a comfortable fit, and battery life up to 54 hours.
Wow, that's so many things. You know what? I'm gonna add those to my list and hope that, you know, maybe, possibly a good family member might get them for me.
You know what, Mom? Don't worry about it, all right? I'd be happy to buy them for you. After all, they already start at about half the price of other premium audio brands.
Oh, well, that's so lovely, dear. Oh, thank you for thinking of your mother.
In fact, I might even knock out the rest of my list with them, since Raycon's holiday bundles get me 30% off.
Yeah, and then maybe you could also get some for those many employees that you have at the Dead Meats.
You know what? I just might. After all, with fitness, gaming, and everyday earbuds, there's something for everyone's interests.
Oh, you're right. Aren't you the best son and boss?
Boss?
Okay, I gotta go, Jamothy. I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Bye, Mom. I am a great son and boss.
It worked. I'm getting Raycons.
You know you can just
You can get 20% off site-wide or 30% off Raycon's holiday bundles using code EARLYBF at the link in the description or at buyraycon.com/deadmeat. We'll also try to keep the description updated with the ever-updating seasonal offers, but you can always go to buyraycon.com/deadmeat to get the best deals available. How many kills can we look up in this movie's Black Phone book? Let's find out and get to them.
Black Phone book, huh? Only that would true. That'd be like a dark web for it, huh? Imagine there was a dark phone book. Anyway, so see how this kid escapes the grabber and what happens to all of them, and get to the kill, shall we?
The movie begins with, oh, son of a Steven, a baseball game. Classic King. It's 1978 in North Denver, and 13-year-old pitcher Finney Blake gets bested by rival Bruce Yamada, who's a little cocky, but still a good sportsman.
Man, your arm is mint. You almost had me.
Bruce slow rides around town, looking
Careful there,
cooler
Bruce.
than I ever have or will be, but his good times come to an end when he sees a black van, bringing a fade to black to this baseball boy. An 8mm missing persons
heads up.
montage gives us a taste for this movie's 70s setting. I love a good opening credits sequence that isn't just names over landscape shots, especially when it evokes the filmmaker's previous horror work. Keep an eye out for any lawnmowers, am I right? Finney lives with his younger sister Gwen in a place so suburban there are connected backyard paths leading to the school. But this Denver suburb ain't entirely Colorado. There's been a string of child abductions, classic King, by an unknown culprit nicknamed the Grabber. This is the late 70s after all, the age of infamous serial killers like John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, and David Berkowitz. Finney has to face
Does sound like
bullying
the
at
idea.
school, classic King. But thankfully, he has a karate kid in his corner. Robin Arellano is one tough mammer jammer, as seen earlier when he was fighting a big bully named Moose. Moose swung a slur and a fist at Robin, only to get his ass whooped.
Oh.
Holy Christian, Batman, is Robin going for the impaler? Nah, he stopped
I-
short of a kill switch, but he definitely
That's
makes
not really-
Moose unprettier. Though we learned that
I think I would have gone for a Rude Awakening, because that's definitely a setup for it. Just. Yeah. Like, does anyone actually use that? I know there's the shake, rattle, and roll, but that's a different move set, you know? It was like behind the head, then just. I think that would have been a transitional move. In wrestling, at least. I don't know. I mean, was the 80s or at least the 70s. Boom period of wrestling wasn't until like another couple of years. I think that was around the time of like, say, San Martino at least. Or, yeah, probably them, but I don't remember. I'm not sure who the territory was. Anyway, moving along.
Finney helps Robin with his math homework, this doesn't feel like a transactional relationship. These two boys seem like actual friends, or at the very least, affectionate mentor and mentee.
You're gonna have to stand up for yourself one of these days.
Finney's home life is also a big bag of suck. His dad Terrence has such a short fuse, mere breadbox banging and cereal slurping can set him straight the fuck off.
You think you can slurp that a little louder?
Finn's pap is abusive
Sorry.
and alcoholic as hell, but the kids adapt and find a way to live with him. Watching William Castle movies probably helps. Oh shit, the Tingler! Finney must be a podcast listener. The Blake home is the best showcase of this movie's attention to period detail. Production designer Patty Podesta helped recreate director Scott Derrickson's memories of growing up in late 1970s North Denver. In fact, it was his decision to set the movie here. Joe Hill's original story takes place in Illinois. And it's not just the set deck and wardrobe that makes this feel so much like the 70s. Cinematographer Brett Jukowitz matched the movie's visual style to the era with his lighting and color palette. He used a lot of browns and sepias and shot with lenses that
There's
gave the
not a lot
film
of
a
neon
softer
yet.
period look. Finney wakes up the next morning to some real-life horror, Gwen being abused by their dad. She had been questioned at school earlier by two detectives looking into the missing kids. They heard that Gwen told a friend about a dream she had where the grabber had black balloons, a detail that's true but hasn't been released to the public. Turns out Gwen's got a bit of the shine, or otherwise nondescript
Psychic.
magical power, classic King. Terrence is irate that Gwen's been talking about prophetic dreams, and in a painful scene beats her until she repeats that she doesn't have powers.
My dreams are just dreams. Say it again. My dreams are just dreams.
Amazing work by young actor Madeline McGraw, who Derrickson says came up with that final, somewhat defiant line delivery on her own.
My favorite acting moment in the whole movie, and maybe in anything I've ever done. And she turns and she looks at him and she gets mad. She's like, my dreams are just dreams. And I didn't tell her to do that. That's a 9-year-old girl knowing her character.
Great acting from a kid who's not old enough to watch his previous work.
I've been begging my mom to let me watch Sinister, but she said
boy.
definitely no. She's even shaking her head right now.
I love that Gwen is a strong little kid who's not overly precocious, even when she's cussing out cops like she were Beavis.
Yeah, I took him down because obviously I'm the grabber, you dumb fucking fart knockers.
Now we see that her toughness is a way to mask the trauma she has from her broken home. Finney's crappy life is about to get crappier, since Robin, like Bruce before him, stumbles upon that same black van and suffers the same black fade out. With his buddy bodyguard gone, Finney and
Robin.
Gwen have to fend for themselves in a super violent kid fight, which, I mean, you know what that is,
a rock.
man. It's classic King! I'll stop pointing out King tropes now, but this does make me want to do a
we have
random video
time
all
more.
about him. After school, the young walker crossfades his way home. Damn, all these dissolves for just one street? Slow-ass motherfucking Finney over here. The pace picks up when Finney comes across a black van, and a figure stumbles out of it sounding like an animaniac. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, okay.
Are you sure there
'Cause
wasn't
at
a cut
first,
there?
I thought it was more like... This feller says he's a part-time magician, and to prove it, he says abracadabra. Man, nothing
Yeah,
worse
that's
than
the
a
grabber.
mouthful of sleeping gas. Finney comes to in a grimy basement where the man, now revealed to be the grabber, shows off his creepy PPE.
Nothing bad is going to happen here.
You know, I'm not sure
Yeah,
why,
I'm not
but
gonna
I'm having a
trust
hard
you,
time
buddy.
believing this guy. The grabber is played by Ethan
Ethan
Hawke,
Hawke.
who previously worked with Derrickson on Sinister. We've also seen him as the family patriarch in the middling original Purge. The Black Phone relies on Hawke's performance for its tension, and he delivers, giving the grabber an unsettling, almost split-like instability. The grabber locks up for the night, so Finney explores his new scare B&B, which includes a dingy bathroom and some rolled-up floor mats. It also includes the titular telephone, which, despite being disconnected, rings one night. The grabber says it's just static electricity, since the phone hasn't worked since his boyhood. That's a problem for Finney, because the grabbers also soundproof this basement. In crawl space, no one can hear you scream. A couple of nights go by, and the phone rings again. This time, there's a caller on the line. The boy on the other end doesn't remember his own name, but he does say some familiar phrases.
We met once. Your arm is mint. You almost had me.
Finney realizes he's talking to the ghost of Bruce Yamato.
Bruce.
First-time caller, long-time dead kid. His early life and abduction are played in another Kodachrome montage. Bruce tells him that the phone rings for everyone, but Finney's the only one who's been able to hear their voices. I was surprised to learn these calls weren't done in post-production. The phone was hooked up so the kid actors could actually talk during the scenes.
We hooked it up so that when we pick up this phone on the outside of the set, the black phone inside will ring.
Oh, there you go.
Bruce tells Finney about a loose tile in the bathroom, which he removes to try and Shawshank his way to freedom. He hides the progress with one of the mats and turns in for another kidnap. Like a napping kid.
yeah.
The next day, before sunrise, the grabber brings him breakfast. On his way out, he seemingly forgets to lock the door, but when Finney moves to escape, he receives another
don't.
phone call. It's a different voice this time, who Finney identifies as deceased paperboy Billy
Billy.
Showalter. Another montage shows his life in kidnapping, done by a Pennywise grabber. Billy tells Finney the unlocked door is a trap, and that the grabber is waiting to beat him when he tries to leave. Damn, look like that grabber been grabbing them dumbbells, know what
why
I
is he
mean?
throwing
Billy
Buffalo
also
Bill here?
mentions that he tore a cable loose and hid it away. Finney finds it, and using a rolled up mat as a guide, snakes it around the bars of the basement's only window. Wow, I gotta call this kid the next time I lose the drawstring inside my hoodie. Finney tries to climb to freedom, but is unable to unlatch the window before the grate breaks off. The survival scenes are one of the best parts of the Black Phone. I love watching a smart, capable character try their best to escape an awful situation. Gwen is having visions of a live-action NES Paperboy adaptation, but the telepathic teenager would rather just know where her brother is. Unable to find Finney on her own, she asks for help from her super shitty dad. Terrence reveals their mother also had visions, meaning Gwen's power is inherited. This might explain why Finney is the only one who is able to hear the ghost
makes
voices.
sense.
But Finney and Gwen's mom eventually became overwhelmed by the visions and took her own life.
I don't want that future for you, sweetheart.
Ah, the old
So, be abusive so she doesn't rely too much on her visions? Okay, bit of a dick move, I gotta say. But still, you could have told her. Like, sheesh. Like, I mean, you could have just said, but that's how we lost our mother. Harsh, but come on. Really have to spank her for it? Like, come on, man. I mean, there's being a good parent and there's being a dick. That's being a dick. Anyway.
this is for your own good argument. That's never fucked up a kid before. Terrence is played
Yeah, a
by
lot.
prolific character actor Jeremy Davies, who was in Ravenous, which we've covered on the podcast, and of course, Lost. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan and all that. Dude will forever be Daniel Faraday to me. The police are conducting their own search for Finney. While going door to door, they meet Max, an eccentric out-of-towner who's crashing on his brother's couch. Max is played by James Ransone, last seen on the kill count as adult
It
Eddie
Chapter-
in It Chapter 2. He's also a Derrickson regular, having appeared in both Sinister movies as Deputy So-and-so. Max is working on an amateur investigation and believes he's narrowed down where the grabber lives. The cops don't take him seriously though, probably since Ziggy been dipping into White Mike's supply. Maybe if Max spent less time powdering his nose, he'd realize the boy he's looking for is in the basement right below him, since the brother he's staying with has been moon knighting as the grabber. Finney has brought another meal by the grabber, who's perplexed by the break in his murder routine.
Everything's different, nothing's going right.
It's enough to put the sad mouth on his mask. The grabber's instantly iconic mask was designed by Gore Daddy Tom Savini, with input from Derrickson and sketch artist Levi Simpson. They were inspired by movies like Mr. Sardonicus and The Man Who Laughs. The modular mask, with its 3 different mouths, was created by special effects supervisor Jason Baker. In his Pittsburgh studio, he had to make nearly 40 copies, thanks to the mouth variations, stunt requirements, and COVID restrictions.
Because of COVID, we couldn't let Ethan and the photo double share the same mask, because he'd be breathing on it, whole cross-contamination thing. So then we had to make a whole separate set for the photo double.
The mask is a resin fiberglass hybrid with comfortable foam inside. The one I have here on set wasn't screen used in the movie, but it was used for promotional materials and sent by a friend at Universal. Thanks, Gianluca. The grabber says he'll let Finney go if he tells him his name, but after catching him in a lie, he leaves with the door unlocked to tempt him again. Finney doesn't take the bait and is awoken that night by some extreme yoga.
Whoa,
this backbending specter is Griffin Stagg, another victim whose ghostly appearance will get him added to the kill count. Does that mean I should have counted the Grady girls in the Shining kill count? I mean, yeah, sure, probably. Griffin tells Finney the grabber is playing a game called Naughty Boy. As long as Finney doesn't play, the grabber can't kill him yet, but that'll only be true for a little bit longer, so he'd better find a way out of there. Griffin says the house's door is secured with a bike lock that once belonged to him. He wrote the combination on the wall, but can't remember how the digits break up, whether it's 23-31-7 or 2-33-17 or what have you. The afterlife amnesia means Finney will have to try all the combinations, all while playing another game, Don't Wake Grabby from Parker Brothers. Finney successfully escapes his Gattaca prison, but on his way out, a barking bad boy wakes up his catnapping kidnapper. Finney screams for help outside, but the grabber catches up to him and threatens him into silence.
You say one fucking word, and I will gut you like a pig.
With no help coming from the neighborhood watch, the grabber puts an end to Finn's adventure time and brings him back to the basement. Ethan Hawke had been reluctant to play evil characters because he was worried people would see him a different way if he did. He frequently mentioned how Jack Nicholson was always seen as crazy after The Shining. He decided to give it a shot though because of the material, the director, and where he was in his career.
The good news is I'm 51 now, and so it might be the time for me to go to the dark side.
Still, he found it difficult to play such an evil character because there's no justification for his actions.
Normally I say that I'm always like to be my character's lawyer. If I was my character's lawyer in this case, I think I would resign and just let the guy go to the death penalty, I mean.
His solution was to play...
Well, to be fair, yeah, I probably would be if I was this guy's lawyer. Like, if you had me, I would be like, dude, you can't have to kill kids. I hope they give you death. Seriously, I don't care if it gets me banned from the bar. I don't care, because that dude fucked up.
The grabber like a wounded animal. He also said it was easy to turn off the character as soon as the camera's cut.
Catch the balloons! Okay. Yeah, okay.
You can hear all about it in my interview with him, director Derrickson, and the mask makers Jason Baker and Tom Savini. A frustrated Finney is awakened by another call, this time from a ghost resting in no amount of peace.
This is it. The horrifying nightmare end of your pathetic little life.
Finney realizes he's talking to Pinball Vance Hopper, a notorious school bully who the grabber grabbed earlier. Vance's vicious reputation is illustrated in a flashback where he beats up 2 kids who ruined his pinball game. We see him taken outside by the police, where he's joined by Dream Warrior Gwen. She sits in for a free ride in the Popo Mobile, and perhaps incepts Finney's latest phone call.
This is it. The horrifying nightmare end of your pathetic little life.
As Gwen takes stock of the Barbie dream house, Vance reveals that when he was a captive, he broke through a wall in the bathroom. He was killed before he could escape, but Finney follows suit, busting through concrete with a toilet lid like it were Zepp Hindle's skull. His exit is blocked by a freezer, so he dismantles the rest of the toilet and uses a washer to unscrew the back panel. Unfortunately, the freezer can't be opened from the inside, which makes sense. It is a freeze her, not a freeze him. Exhausted, Finney breaks down, believing his fate is sealed. It's hard to believe this is 15-year-old actor Mason Thames' first feature film role. Due to COVID, he had to audition through Zoom, a process he found awkward due to Wi-Fi issues. Glad his bandwidth came through, since the kid does great, going toe-to-toe with veteran actor Ethan Hawke. The phone rings yet again, but this time the caller is a friendly ghost.
Hey, Finn. What's happening?
It's Robin, here to comfort his friend in his time of need
murder
and
off
to
screen,
finally get added to the kill count. Since Robin died recently, he's more coherent than the other spirits, who were all created for the movie actually. In Joe Hill's story, Bruce is the only ghost kid caller. But since creepy dead children are a forte of Derrickson's, the others were added to the film. Their makeup was all practical, done by department head Rick Poor. Seems like they had a lot of fun on set. Robin says it's time for Finney to start standing up for himself, and teaches him how to weaponize the phantom phone.
You raise the phone, take a fast step back, step forward, step back, and swing.
Aw, they even turned it into a little line dance. That's nice. With Finney's training day complete, Robin lets him know this will be the last black phone call, and the two friends say an emotional goodbye.
I miss you, Robin.
Then get out for me. Use what we gave you.
Following Robin's advice, Finney packs the phone tight with dirt to give it heft, then kicks off his ultimate plan to bag that dagnab grabber. Outside, Gwen races around the neighborhood looking like an appetizer for a killer clown. Good thing there aren't actually any scary clowns here.
Oh, sorry for the kids.
Just a bunch of scary ghost kids who stop her in front of the house from her visions, which she identifies from its front lawn foliage and address number. After booking it back home, Gwen hollers back at one of the detectives. He volunteers the police force as tribute to meet her at the house she's found. At the same time, Max has a coke-fueled eureka and realizes his brother's house is smack dab in the middle of the abduction zone. As Pink Floyd's On the Run blares in the background, he makes his way down to the basement, where he's shocked to find another house guest.
No fucking way.
He takes a little too long to collect his bearings though, and fails to notice his brother, who buries an axe in Max, killing him with one swift blow. What a dirty, bloody shame. The cops arrive to save the day, but just like in Silence of the Lambs, they're in the wrong place at the right time. Turns out the house Gwen directed them to is abandoned, of the living at least. Her visions were never taking her to Finney, but rather to the Grabber's Dead Kids Society. Carpe dem kids' bodies, coppers. That means Finney still needs to fend off the White Devil and his White Fang by himself. He dodges an axe swing and runs to the bathroom, leading the Grabber right into Finney's trap house. I love how the advice from all the previous basement boys plays into this final confrontation. Finney uses Billy's cable to trip the Grabber into the pit that he dug earlier using the tile Bruce told him about. The Grabber breaks his ankle on the grate pulled down from the window. Finney puts Robin's training to good use, beating the bad man down with the phone. Mason Thames was excited to do a lot of his character's physical scenes himself, working under stunt coordinator Mark Riccardi. He said the only downside was the fake sweat they had to use.
I know it's the most random thing, but it was like the greasiest, nastiest thing ever, and it was disgusting.
The Grabber gets grabby, but is distracted when Finney pulls his mask off, allowing the boy to wrap the phone's cable around his neck. The phone rings once more, but now the bell's tolling for the Grabber, who hears his previous victims taunting him through the receiver.
Welcome to the end of your pathetic little life. Finn's arm is mint.
With a final crank yank, Finney daybreaks the Grabber's neck, and his body slides down beneath the floor to save the gravedigger some time. Finney placates the dog with a steak from the freezer, then makes his way upstairs. He opens the combination lock and strolls out to freedom. We see that Finney's been kept in a house just across the street from where the bodies were being stored. Gwen tearfully reunites with her brother, and they're shortly joined by their dad. Terrence begs them for forgiveness, but since they've probably heard this song before, the siblings opt for a silent side hug instead. Sometime later, Finney returns to school, where his reputation as a serial killer earns him some cred. With his newfound swagger, Finney strolls into science class, and the movie ends with him confidently sitting next to a girl he likes. Veni Finny Vici. How many people wound up as dead as an out-of-service telephone? Or, landlines in general? Let's find out and get to the phone numbers. Mom, I'm trying to film a kill count.
Yellow.
Yeah, James, it's Zoran. Now, I know you took a week off of doing kill counts, so you might be a little rusty, but I'm here to make sure you can get to the numbers. What you're gonna want to do, okay, is say a joke, pause for laughter, take a step back, walk off screen, and count. Do it with me.
Okay. Say a joke, pause for laughter, take a step back, walk off screen, and count.
One more time.
Say a joke, pause for laughter, take a step back, walk off screen, and count.
You're ready, man. Go get him, Tiger.
Thanks, Zoran. Hey.
Really wish James hadn't killed me because Dude Bro's the new kill count champion.
Don't bring it up. Hi.
7 people died in the Black Phone,
Yeah, no,
most
guys.
of whom were kids. Eesh, that's a bummer. The victims were all male, giving us a big blue pie chart for a small black phone. You know, this count and gender breakdown has only happened once before on this show, with Christine, coincidentally based on a story by Stephen King. With a runtime of 103 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 14.71 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to the grabber. Most of this movie's kills are off screen, and it's gratifying to see Finney finally stand up for himself. And I won't give a doll machete for this movie. It would feel weird to penalize a child murder for not being on screen. And that's it. The Black Phone premiered at Fantastic Fest before getting a wider release in 2022. Now, next Friday is a proof of concept short of the movie we're trying to produce called Pre-Game. Please be sure to tune in. We're really excited to share it with you all. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count. Thanks a lot.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Did they ever make that? Like the Pre-Game movie? Curious now. Anywho, that's about it for The Kill Count. Let me know what you guys think. Until next time, next craft for more. See ya.